Salams everybody, I'm Mira NAIR, the director of Salaam Bombay. It was my first feature film made in 1988, back then. And Salam means greetings, blessings to all, which is how I want to greet everyone at Busan. And it's really a Salaam Bombay. Bombay is a city which is like our nerve center of India, a city which is also where cinema and Bollywood is created. So it is a city of dreams, especially for street kids who think that if they leave their families and if they leave the poverty and the misfortune that they know and come to Bombay, the streets will be paved with gold and they will have a life of adventure. I was deeply inspired by the spirit of survival and resilience and flamboyance of the street kids that I knew and pretty much lived around in Bombay. And a very close friend of mine, Suni Tarapurwala, who is from Bombay, and I embarked on making a film that was very close to reality and truth, and yet a fictional version that could be a feature film that would be in commercial movie halls all over the world, we hoped. And somehow this dream came true with Salaam Bombay. I cast real street kids mixed with extraordinary well-known actors. And we had a workshop over weeks prior to the shooting of the film, where I cast who played whom, and then we brought everyone to the streets where they essentially came from and filmed what you are going to see. My own introduction to making cinema first came from the theatre, in which I was an actor on stage in India, in Delhi, in Calcutta. We made a lot of political street theatre and took it out on the streets. And I was always ignited by the question whether art could change the world. Could we impact change in any way by expressing ourselves creatively? And theatre was my first go-to for that. I came to America to study on a scholarship and then stumbled into a course in documentary filmmaking in cinema verite, which means the cinema of truth. And it was taught by Ricky Leacock, who essentially invented the mobile camera with D.A. Pennebaker, two extraordinary American documentary filmmakers who were my teachers. And through them and learning of cinema verite, I made documentaries that were close to the soil in India for about 7 years. Until I was, frustrated by not getting audiences. In those days, this was the early 80s. Documentaries were rarely seen except on television. And that is what prompted me to make Salaam Bombay, the film that you're about to see, as a feature film, as a fiction film, but to make it an amalgam of my own training in the theatre, training in documentary, but working in fiction. The crew of Salaam Bombay are also all first-timers, many of them and many of us. Sandy Sissel, the extraordinary woman cinematographer who shot Salaam Bombay, this was her first film, and in fact her first time in India. And it was a really hard film to make because we shot entirely on location, and we shot without crowd control, and we shot with great diffusion of silks over our heads, even in the red light area of Bombay, which is essentially the studio of Salaam Bombay. That's where we really lived. And we also, Mitch Epstein, who's an extraordinary photographer, was the production designer of this film. But it was a way to really shoot it on the real streets in the real locations, but heighten it with the color and the vibrancy and the kaleidoscope that is India, that totally excites me aesthetically and also politically. The film was a coming together of non-professional actors, kids from the street. We had a workshop where we invited 130 kids, came in to this workshop, and I chose 29 children in the first week of the workshop, and all those children are in the film. I really believe that the map of life of a child's journey is in their hands and in their faces, and it was always important for me to not work with actors playing these roles, but to work with the children themselves who had lived a life almost without childhood, but who had the great hunger to be children, to live it up, to never have pity for themselves, to live fully at all costs. That was the inspiration for me to make Salaam Bombay. I hope you enjoy the film. It was a fairy tale when we finished the film. I went to my first feature film festival, to the Cannes Film Festival. I had never been to a film festival before. And we won the Camera d'Or, we won the most beautiful and important prizes. And then we went right up to the Academy Awards as a nomination from India for the Best Foreign Film. So we had a great journey opening the film all over the world. It was one of the first Indian films to have that commercial distribution. And we formed, most importantly, from the profits of the film, the Salaam Balak Trust, which means, Balak means child, which is a foundation for street kids from the profits of Salaam Bombay, which is now a 33-year-old organization called Salaam Balak Trust in Delhi and in Bombay. And more than 5,000 children a year live and come through our Salaam Balak centers. And that has been actually the most extraordinary part of making Salaam Bombay, is that indeed change can happen with art. And Salaam Bombay is one of those rare films, at least in my life, that has deeply affected change, because it has created, given a home, a creative home, an educational home, and a home that believes in the arts for street kids for the last 33 years. So welcome, and I hope you are affected and enjoy the spirit of the kids in Salaam Bombay. Thank you so much.